All right, so this rig is called the WACKY Rig, and the WACKY Rig has really grown in popularity. A lot of guys are throwing it. It's because it really does work. Now that it's grown in popularity, there's different types of hooks that have helped it excel even more. It's a bait that skips well. If you want to throw it up under a dock, it skips up under there real well. So you're able to it's just a versatile bait. So what a WACKY Rig is basically, it's a rig that it's a worm that you hook in the center of the bait. So the bait actually hangs like this, and as it falls, that worm kind of flexes as it falls. But there's several different ways you can rig this. This little band that's on here, you don't have to have the band. It just helps keep the bait a little more durable. It doesn't really have anything to do with your hookup ratio. It just helps you be able to throw the bait more without having to change it out. There is a tool to put that on there easier. Basically, you slide the worm in this little tool that has these bands on it, and you slide those bands off to the center of the worm. It makes it pretty easy. So on the WACKY style bait, this is a Cinco style bait. There's a flat end. It's a flat end, and then there's a pointy end. So the tail part is your pointier end, and then the flatter end's your top part. So what I want to do, I tend to rig it where my hook point goes up towards the tail. So I'm going to stick it, you want to stick it into the plastic and then back up under that loop, but still into the plastic towards the tail end of the bait. It goes through the plastic underneath that band, making that pretty sturdy bait. But this one has a weed guard. So that helps you when you're throwing it around things not to get that hook caught, because it's an open hook otherwise. But the reason I like to put the hook point towards the tail, because if it has any weight on it, then most of the weight's probably in the head. If it falls, I want it to fall with that hook point up. So the bass naturally is going to come down on it. And if that hook point's up, when you pull, you're pulling that up into the bass's mouth. So the other style you can use is a jig head. WACKY Rig head. Add more weight and action, and that way I'm going to rig it a little different. It doesn't matter as much if you have this band in here because you're rigging it differently. This way you're going to rig it just straight up through the plastic, more centered obviously, but I have that band on there, so I just moved it down so you guys could see it. And this way it's going to fall faster. It's going to fall faster in the water, and if you pump your rod, it's going to flex that bait a little bit more because it's falling quicker. So there's gonna be more action. It's just gonna fall faster depending on what you're doing. But it's just two different ways. And these things skip really well because all it is plastic, and it's horizontal. So it just kind of pops across the water and can go up under a dock. And anytime you can get up under a dock, there's tons of shade under there, and those bass are sitting under there. And just like us, I guess, on the hottest days, we want the most shade, and that's kind of what bass are doing. They're looking for the shadiest water because it's the coolest water, and they can stay most comfortable, they can stay hidden. So if you can throw that bait up where they are and deliver their food right in front of them, most likely they're gonna eat it more. So even when the fish are spawning, they're bedding in the spring, you can throw that over a bed, especially weightless, and let that thing fall right in front of them and twitch it. It just kind of makes it pretty irresistible for them to not get it. So that is the WACKY Rig.